call the meeting of the council to order. With the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Chase, did you want to speak tonight? Sharon, did you want to speak tonight?
No.
Okay, thank you. We'll go right in to Jade then.
I better approve the agenda first.
Oh,
Make a
yes,
motion
we better,
to
thank
that.
you. Did you make that motion, Ryan?
Yep.
Second?
I'll second.
Marge makes the second. All those in favor, starting with Don?
Yes.
Yes. Carries. Then we'll move on to Jade.
All right, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Your update is in your packet. We'll start first with the street and drainage improvements. So last year's project was bid for the downtown alley pavement repair and hanging street curb is scheduled for construction this spring. I actually did talk to the contractor earlier today. He called back his guys the week before Easter, and then all of his guys didn't work the week following Easter after we got all the snow. But now he's starting to call them back again. He had asked for mark out some of the removal limits next week, and he's gonna talk to the concrete contractor to try and get them in to start cleaning up a lot of the other areas. He had indicated that, the paving contractor is keeping an eye on road restrictions, but intends to fire up his plant the moment they're done, and it's the first thing on his schedule. So keep an eye on those. They went on March 3rd. Typically, they go off about 2 weeks after when the frost sensors read no frost. Right now, they're 6 inches apart, so we're anticipating next week they should be coming off. So hopefully by early May, he can fire things up and get out here and get everything done. So that one's moving forward. The one that we've talked about for a while, the Summit Street improvements, we did meet with the school, Val, Trevor, and I, to discuss those improvements. Following that meeting, we did get a cost share agreement with the city's assessment policy to the school board for review. What that ends up being based on the cost share of the assessment policy is the school would be required to pay for roughly 40% of the costs, the drainage improvement costs, and the city would be paying the remaining roughly 60%. That went to the school board last night and that was approved. That, along with the good news of we actually did get quotes that were a bit less than what we had thought originally from the contractor that's doing the improvement project. And the total project cost for Summit is at right now estimated at $139,570, so it's down about, what did we figure, about $40,000 from what we were originally thinking last month, which is good news based on the current bidding environment with the oil and diesel prices the way they are. So
We should probably have, get approval for that.
yeah, we should probably get approval to authorize a change order,
Yeah.
the contractor to complete that work if it's something that the council's interested. Obviously, this work would be done July, August, and the school is doing their work on Summit Street.
You want a motion from us at this point?
That'd be
approve that, right,
probably
Jade?
best, so we can authorize a change
Can
order.
I get some, come with that motion?
I'd make that motion.
Sherry makes the motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Don made the second. All those in favor, starting with Don?
Yes.
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 Carries 5-0. Thank you. Thank you.
On the school project, and not to deviate from where we went, but I had a safe roads to school meeting we had. And I was looking at an overview, and from a city's perspective, do we have, I mean, and it's probably water under the bridge now, but maybe something we could meet with the school on for future stuff. But I was kind of thinking, like, why does the city even need Summit Street there? Or would the school be interested in buying it? 'Cause they're short on parking, which is something we had on our safe roads to school. They can make that dirt parking lot, bus loading area, and just absorb everything to the school there. And do we have infrastructure underneath that road? I mean, what would we have there?
We've got water and sewer running down that road, so we
That's
have
more than just for the school, then it's for like a.
the water is like,
so.
And I'm guessing for fire, does it need to be a street along the school, or can it be a parking lot? I mean, is that something that's?
If there was access,
I've been to other schools, and there isn't any like streets that are close to schools,
school,
really,
yeah.
it's all like school parking, bus loading, unloading.
I
And
think,
it's all, I mean, they have fire lane stuff still there, you
Yeah.
know, but, and fire protection hydrants, but they don't have schools running that close to the buildings in other, in
Right.
other schools that I've been to.
Yeah.
Not to say that that's the norm.
it might be a little past our time to do that with
Yeah.
what they've done with their parking lot built up as high.
Yeah,
Had we been able to get them in right away, we could have maybe considered lowering that parking lot that sits south. But with them building it the way it is up so high, we're kind of stuck with where that drainage is. If we could have, like you're saying, absorbed the whole thing, made it one big lot
yeah,
and graded it all to the center, we might have been able to get that done. But I don't know if we can right now with their contract and our contract.
yeah, no, it's probably water under the bridge, but I just thought, I'm like, wow, that would be a good spot to just kind of just give it to the school, sell it to the school, vacate the school, and then it's there, then the drainage is kind of their problem too.
Yeah,
And then they just do it the parking lot, bus loading area, and that would solve some of the challenges that we talked about in the school meeting.
their access.
Their access, crosswalks, the parking lots, all these other things that are crossing our roads.
But that's a busy area with the parking is less than ideal for pedestrians right now.
Exactly, yeah. Okay.
Nature Trail, we talked about this a little bit last month regarding the fixed property. Now there's been some changes to the fixed property. When we went back to kind of the drawing board on this one, after the potential sale of the fixed property information came through, we had talked to MnDOT about the alignment and reviewed the alignment to basically construct that trail in a way that provided space to the west to build a parking lot and not put that trail into the future parking lot. So we shifted the trail further to the east, not only for the parking lot, but also because there's a hydrant in there that we wanted to avoid. So we proposed this layout to MnDOT, and they approved it with a minor adjustment on the south side of Gilbertson Street. So as you can see, before we were almost coming up to Gilbertson Street, almost at a 90, and because it is a bike lane path, or because it's a bike path, we have to follow their rules for speed limit and radiuses. So that's resulted in kind of some minor shifting where we're gonna have to kind of build that out a little bit, where it's gonna sit probably 30 feet away from that fence line and kind of swoop into the Gilbertson Street area. But also it helps out with the alignment where it crosses County 83, where it comes a little bit straighter across that intersection along the fixed property. So that's really the only major change that they had us make. I think this provides us the best option if and when the fixed property is used for a parking lot, because we have enough space to build that in there and it wouldn't impact this. It gives us a better crossing at Bolt Street as well. So that's the latest layout that has really changed. Again, MnDOT has approved this on the preliminary basis, but we just want to bring it to your attention. This would be one of the minor changes, is that area south of Gilbertson Street would have a slight radius in it. Plans are nearly complete with the minor details remaining for the design and layout of what we call the RRFB, the Rectangular Rapid Flashing Beacon. There's a reason they call it the RFB, I guess. So at County 83 crossing, and then the environmental review through the various state agencies is pending with the finalized agreement. So that portion of the trail project is kicking off and almost done. We have been holding off on the LCCMR portion. If you recall, that's the bog walk portion. There's a lot of strings attached to that money. So we're trying to avoid a ton of this preliminary planning work on that LCCMR portion of the project. And we'll piggyback this layout with that once it's done. So, water supply planning, this one's starting
Just a
to
quick
get.
question on that,
Yep.
as I look at this. Yeah, I just wanna raise an item, is there gonna be curb or anything, I think, the Otter Tail Power Substation, just the way they park and see vehicles there, we're gonna have like an access for them to go over, or are they just gonna be going over the whole bike path wherever is in front of their property? Are we
We'll
gonna make a
probably
dedicated-
end up building a small
access?
curb section with a cut down through there,
Alright,
just to avoid like you're saying, them pulling in and out and parking across the trail wherever they can.
And I don't know if there's any other place this trail goes in front of a business, like to access, but I would assume you would do the same and make them a dedicated
Yep,
Like,
and this is really the only
access to their
one.
business.
Besides Chris's house.
Everything else is behind.
Yeah,
business.
Chris's
nothing
house and
else.
JJ's lot, or JJ's lot will have a driveway.
Yep.
Just storage shed south of Chris's
Yeah.
house.
Cause I'm obviously, we'd wanna hold the dirt back too, otherwise we'll always have dirt and gravel and bike path at that particular location too.
Yep,
Does Otter Tail Power need 2 cutouts?
it'll probably be a widened cutout and cut down.
Cause they don't,
They park a lot,
Drive over.
we can do a drive over through the whole
I
thing
think
too.
that's for them, cause they can.
cause they go on both sides of
They
it,
can
don't
just
they?
pull however.
I would just be with that, I mean, make sure any business
Yeah.
that we're gonna cut in front of, we're meeting with that business or property to make sure that they have access that
Yeah.
works, that we don't have to come and correct, you know, a year from now or something like that.
Yeah, we'll do it not only now, but we'll do it during construction, when things are getting closer there, to show them kind of the cut downs
Yeah.
before the concrete's poured, so.
That's weird. Did it
Um,
come on? I'm sorry.
I know.
That's right. Water supply planning, preliminary plans and specifications were submitted for funding in late March to keep the project on track with the current funding available. As we've talked about, there's a significant amount of money dedicated to this project. Based on the discussions with some various state agencies, the plan and funding review is anticipated to extend till the end of June. That's just their current schedule where they're setting with their plans to be reviewed. That'll give us some time for the next couple items. So LRE Water did review the PFAS testing results and all the private testing well results, and then reviewed some of the areas and some of the potential locations we're talking about for the construction of some test wells to verify the water quality in some of the area, in the area of interest that we're looking at. Had a conversation today with the individual who owns one of the properties, and this individual is willing to work with the city and willing to allow the city to provide access for some temporary test wells. So right now I'm working on an access agreement to get through to this individual to sign, and then we will be looking at having a well contractor come in and pop a couple holes with 6-inch test wells so we can verify the water quality and the capacity of water in this property location. The individual has also indicated that he'd be willing to sell a portion of this property if the water quality tests come back positively, which is great news. And again, all of this would run through the MPCA planning grant that the city's received, so you'll hear more about this, but because it will involve a purchase, it'll come back to council, but there's money available for this purchase if it does work out the way it's looking, so. Things are looking good and moving ahead on that, which is, it's been a process to try and get all this test, or private test well and sampling done to make sure we're doing it right, so. The lead service line agreement, the replacement. 2 weeks ago, a meeting was held with property owners to discuss the 26 lead service line replacement project. As a result of that meeting, we did receive 6 signed agreements, and some of the property owners actually had their property inspected today. I was just gonna look back here, I have it up on my screen. Out of the 4 that were tested at about 1:30 today, 3 of them were not lead or galvanized, they were actually copper, so they will not get new services. But it looks like there were 12 12 properties that were reviewed this morning and afternoon. And so we'll kind of keep working through this, and over the course of the next month, hopefully we can get some answers and finalize the area that we're gonna do.
How about the ones that we haven't heard back from?
The ones that we haven't heard back from, he's actually going door to door. To just knock on it, talk to him about the project, the agreement, and look at it from there. So we're trying everything we can
Sure.
to get a hold of these individuals to take a look at what it looks like and if they're eligible for the project itself. With that, we did have to submit the project area and the number of projects at the end of March. And so what that is the next step to get the project approved for the parcels identified, and then ultimately get the paperwork lined up where we can have the state reimburse the city for all expenses opposed to, or that are part of the project, short of permit fees. And I don't believe there would be any permit fees, and the only reason I bring that up, some cities have charged a permit fee for water connections, which I don't know why we would do that. in
We
this
don't even
area.
have a water connection fee.
Yeah, so that's the only reason I put that in there, so 95% of the communities don't have that. Yeah, it looks like 12 properties had assessments completed today, so out of the 24. So that's pretty good, we're halfway on one day of inspections. Any questions?
Jay, the only question I have is on the water supply planning, and I've asked before, so I'll ask again, because I want us to be very transparent on that the ones that have been tested have been conveyed to these people.
I need to do that yet, I need to
Okay,
clarify.
well, I want to be transparent.
Yeah, and I will add that to the list and get that information out to those. There are a couple of them I want to call to talk to about it, just so they don't get something in the paper or in the mail and
Yeah.
what is this? So
Thank
I
you.
will send that out. Okay, any other questions?
Not, we'll move on. Thank you, Jade. We'll move on to the consent agenda. Can I get a motion to approve the consent agenda?
I'll make that motion.
Second?
Marge makes the motion, Ryan seconds. All in favor of the consent agenda, starting with Don?
Yes.
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 Yep. Yes.
Motion carries. And we'll move on down to the department head meeting. Adam is not able to be here tonight, but he does have his results for the month. It was down a little bit now this month, but we're year to date, we are still ahead. Any questions on that liquor store info? The other thing that he has is the approval to hire Teresa Blatty as a part-time seasonal clerk at the liquor store. Would be contingent on the background check. And Adam suggested pay grade 2, step 1, which would be $16.79 per hour. And I would like to get a motion to approve that if,
Can I interrupt for one? There's, the
go
other
ahead.
part is, the working out a job class for Jen.
oh, I'm sorry,
Well, I think you could do both motions
Okay,
together.
okay.
So,
go ahead, explain Jen's situation then, will you?
Well, so he was out on medical leave for a while, and, once we subtract the 5 days, the 5-day waiting period, she had 64 hours where she was basically working as manager. Her current pay scale is 2463, and at pay grade 6, step 1, she would get 2787, so that's the difference of the two, then she would get on her next paycheck. And Adam talked to her and she was fine with that dollar amount.
So we have two things. We have to approve that working on a class for Jen, and that is what Adam obviously suggested. And then we have to approve the Teresa Blatty part-time employment for summer season. Now, can I get a motion to include both of those items in there?
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Marge makes the motion, Ryan seconds. All those in favor of the liquor store recommendations there, starting with Don?
Yes.
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 Carries 5-0. Trevor, you wanna talk about Public Works a little bit?
Yeah, we have an opportunity for a PHMSA grant, which is Pipeline Hazardous Materials Safety Administration. It's for a natural gas grant, which is very rare. I'm looking for equipment. We could upgrade our CGIs and a new locator. It is 100% grant. No matching funds. So just asking to apply for the grant.
What is this from?
From Pipeline, so PHMSA, it's federal natural gas, so.
I like that 100%.
I know, that's a nice thing. And in there is equipment, so we can do a standalone grant for just equipment, which is rare.
I think that's great. Does there need to be a motion?
I'll make the motion that we approve it.
No,
Oh, you want?
I second it.
Okay, I made the motion, Ryan second. All those in favor, start with Don?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Yep.
Yes.
When is that due, Trevor?
Late May, somewhere in there. I think it's like May 22nd.
What was the dollar amount of the grant?
I think it'll be around 25,000, probably what we apply for, something like that. The minimum is 10,000, so. The new locator would be, I think it's like 12,000, and then 3 CPIs is another 12, so. Be around 25,000.
Anything else, Trevor?
That's it?
Okay,
Have you gotten your street sweeper?
Yep. We aren't real knowledgeable on how to use it, but we're gonna figure it out.
There's a lot of practicing you could do.
I know.
And then let's do it, are they gonna do the bike trail again or not?
Yes,
Cause I saw 89.
because we had it done before the snow came,
Yeah.
and the county decided to plow again.
Put a bunch on it.
Yeah.
It's almost.
And then,
as it was.
and then they street sweep last night,
I saw that, yeah.
so we
Yeah.
didn't get up there before them, unfortunately.
Seth did it really, that's who did it, right? I'm guessing the bike.
No, we
bike
did
trail.
it.
You guys did it?
Yep.
Okay, well, kudos, because when I went by, I noticed every in-drive was
Yep.
done. I mean, it was
Yep.
professionally done, and it looked great.
Yeah, he did a good job, Andrew did it, so,
With, with
the Toro.
the Toro, okay,
Yeah.
got it.
and what's the new used one? What brand is that? Is that
The
a,
new street sweeper?
yeah,
Elgin.
Elgin, okay. Anything from administration?
No.
No, okay. Police department, first of all, Tim, who's here tonight, is our acting, police chief. And so, he's working into the role here, he's, doesn't have it all down quite yet, but we're making progress. And, Don and I met with, met on Tim and talking a pay grade change for his duty as police chief. And we had decided on step 4, which is $44.49 an hour. His current rate is $38.84, and I guess I'm asking if we can have a motion for that pay grade situation.
So moved.
Don makes the motion,
Second?
Derek seconds. All in favor, starting with Don?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, yep,
Yes.
carries 5-0. Thank you. I'm gonna put you on the spot here, Tim, but I know you're brand new, but is there anything you wanna say?
Well, we had in March 103 calls for service. I'm not able to break them down quite yet like what Chief Dyson does, but I was able to at least get a total. So right now, Chief is out on medical, unknown when he'll be able to return. Jesse and I have some training that is upcoming and that I did last month. So.
Okay. Well, thanks for stepping up there, Tim, do appreciate it. Okay, on to committee reports. Anything on EDA that needs to be mentioned?
I don't think that we have anything specific that we
Okay.
have, other than we have the, at the end of the month, we have a meeting with the work session with the EDA.
And we have a new chairperson,
Yeah, a new president,
new
yes.
president, yeah.
Mhm.
Sharon?
Yes, Sharon is the new president, so. They drew straws. I
Short
think.
straw.
That was at 5 o'clock, right?
Yes.
I had a commitment that came up about 5:30, so I'll probably be a little late to that one.
Okay.
Hopefully by 5:45 I should be here.
Okay. Brian, anything on Blackrod?
The annual meeting was, on the 16th, I guess it was, Wednesday. Nothing really talked about. The truck will probably be here sometime in September, October timeframe. talking about another truck. The Relief Association, if I go up again. So yeah, that's about it.
Okay. LACC, anything needs to be mentioned?
Nope.
Thank you. DSMC, Val?
The only thing, I just want to mention that we have the visioning event on May 6th from 5 to 7 at ABC Brewing, and we're partnering with West Central Initiative on this, so they're going to help us pay for the food. And of course, what our share of it is still coming out of grant money for that project. Have I mentioned also that we received $8,000 from this project to move forward with something related to the program, you know, whether it's a housing study or something like that. So that was a nice surprise.
Okay. Want to mention anything on Tri-City?
I think we had a good meeting, collaborative, a number of people here, probably about 20, talked about things that we could do together. Really came down to initially marketing and groups like the LACC and I don't remember what the other groups are called in the other communities, but hopefully they will work together to do some group marketing. And the other thing that was talked about was a possible trail to Glendalough from both Henning and Otter Tail. So Patrick Hollister said he would be very interested in helping us with that, so we'll probably have another conversation about that. And you know, that's a long step for something like that to happen, but if it does, that would be a great step.
I'll just, can I comment on the marketing? So there's multiple initiatives happening among all of us. So the EDA has a marketing initiative that came out of our study. The school has a marketing initiative coming out of their study, LACC and the Tri-City. I would love us to come up with some kind of a cohesive plan, because I know some are moving forward already. So Justin was getting the community groups together to start that conversation, but I really would just like to have a broader conversation because we could probably share some resources and be much more aligned in what that brand looks like for the whole community.
Nice to
I know
have.
Bob mentioned it with the school even, you know, we haven't made the final decision on that.
And they've already selected a vendor, so they're talking about working with, I can't think of his name, sorry. Sign guys.
I'm sorry.
Anyways, so just, I think, rather than everybody in their own separate lanes, I think as a community, we should just come together and figure out a plan and a strategy, and then who does what, so.
And maybe some of that can be discussed on the 28th.
Right, or we just need to get Rob or somebody from the school, from the Tri-City.
Sure.
And the rest together, so.
Okay. Natural gas rate is on the backside there, and just comparing March rate of 112 to March rate a year ago and 114. You know, I just had a citizen say something about, boy, I heard the natural gas is really going up. And I said, that's not the way I see it when we have our council meetings and we get the comparison this year versus a year ago. It's been very, very similar. Some months it's even gone down a little bit. And so, well, that's not the way this one person heard it. So I corrected one anyway. Okay, then next is the open meeting law update. I'm gonna turn that over to Tony.
Yeah, thank you. So, if the council is aware, or not aware, I mean, as the council is aware and approved, you authorized our firm to do the open meeting law investigation. We hired Tom Jacobson of Severson, Jacobson and Lervik out of Alexandria to do the investigation. He completed his investigation by, and pursuant to that investigation, he had interviews with every single council member, as well as every single, pretty much EDA member as well. There were a few that did not return his call, but he spoke with every single one of them. In addition, He reviewed all council members' provided emails. He also interviewed Val, Ms. Martin as well, related to the complaints that were levied. And he found there was absolutely no meeting law violation whatsoever. And the specific investigation that he was engaging in was whether there was a quorum reached for the land swap before it was ever even presented to the council. That was the primary purpose of the investigation. And he reviewed voluminous documents with those interviews as well, provided my office again with a comprehensive report related to all of his findings as specific facts, and that is his conclusion in its entirety. If the council would like my office to prepare a written report to the council, I can do so. But again, the council would have to authorize payment of that because that's beyond the scope of our contract. And JJ and I just didn't want to do it and then bill, and I can just tell you exactly what it said based upon his investigation, as this is a public and open forum, and this is what he said and what his findings were. So based upon that, there is no violation of an open meeting law. He did provide, just as a counselor and a legal practitioner that has engaged in these investigations many times in his career, that if there are communications, even email communications, amongst either EDA members or council members, that when you do have communications, and this was just he didn't find evidence of what I'm about to say, but he, as a cautionary tale, when you do communicate in that fashion, that can, under law, manifest quorum, potentially, depending on what you're having a discussion about. And so, I know every council member has had training on open meeting law violations. It's one of the main things that everyone is trained on because of how serious they are and what they entail. So it's just, just moving forward, when you do have these communications amongst council members, that it's, important that when you do have the communications that they're not preordained or have any sort of specific discussions about something that would happen within a public forum. But again, to reiterate, no findings whatsoever, no evidence whatsoever of any sort of open meeting law violations related to the open meeting law complaints.
Okay,
That's great.
thank you, Tony.
Who's gonna pay for this now? How much did it cost?
You mean the invoice from?
What we had to pay for the investigation?
Good question.
I echo what you're saying here, Ryan, because what kind of irritated me about, we've had the two with the police chief and now this one, and it seems as though we're guilty until we can prove we're innocent.
Right.
Well, it's gonna cost us to do that.
It'll cost the city of Battle Lake, I'm guessing somewhere between $10,000 and $12,000 on, I don't know if there's any facts, as Tony said, there's no evidence of it. So, I mean, you can go out and say someone murdered somebody, I don't get it, you just can't go around accusing people of doing things.
I would take this one step further, and I don't have an answer to your question, Ryan, but I think if someone wants to file a complaint in the future, that I think we should have a filing fee for it. Now, I might have to do some checking on that, the validity of it, but
Well, or at least and I don't wanna speak for anybody, I don't know who would put the, complaint out there, but.
Well, I think JJ recommended that we investigate this, right, and that's what.
Well, no, had to, we had to.
He felt that way because based on the email that
Yep.
he received.
Yep. But is there something when you accuse someone of doing something and it completely not true, no findings, no evidence brought forward before we decide, hey, well, we should do an investigation. I mean, I never saw anything saying that, well, here's why I'm saying there's open meeting law violation. I saw no evidence of that brought before we decided to do an investigation. So we went through a lot of money, time, energy.
We didn't say anything with our chief
it-
either, so we've had two complaints that I
Yeah,
didn't.
and if you wanna say black eyes on the councils, the council members, EDA members, I mean, all of it, for what? Just 'cause? what's gonna stop someone from next week saying, yeah, open meeting law violation, you guys need to investigate something? So how does something like that, I mean, I don't know, is there countersuits or is there stuff like that?
So, what I understand about the open meeting law violation, there's no, at least what I understand legally, there's no way to go after someone for making a complaint and then it being false. But I do think that the council can have a discussion on implementation of policies when it comes to these complaints and these investigations, right? So for instance, which we don't have a policy for this right now, but I think the council can approve a policy or make a determination on how a complaint is handled, okay, in different facets, whether it's an employee relations complaint, or a citizen complaint against a police officer, or a public complaint against an open meeting law violation, or a public complaint against a city council member, right? So, what you can do before agreeing and ordering an investigation is that we could have a, okay, say it's an open meeting law violation. Depending on the nature of what the allegations are, we could either address it, within a closed session or in a public session, and then make a determination of whether you want to investigate that or not, and why. Do that.
Can you close a meeting for something like that?
Not an open meeting law violation, but you could, like, police chief complaint, right? Or
yeah.
a city council member complaint, but like, the open meeting law is a public determination, so you could, and I have to, before I answer that 100%, I'd have to figure out if we could state that, who said what, for instance, right? Because, to your point, if there's a serial person that's making serial complaints,
Right, and I like the transparency, and when having to jump through a bunch of hoops just to say, a violation of this, I don't like that either, because then it looks like you're trying to hide behind a bunch of red tape. But at the end of the day, people that are throwing out accusations should be held a little bit accountable for their actions as well.
What do you think about my suggestion if somebody wants to file a complaint that they have a fee that they're gonna have to submit?
I just feel that they're just hiding behind a fee, now, I don't have the money to pay.
No, I don't know.
Like, if you're gonna make a complaint against the city, you gotta pay us $500 before.
Yeah.
I don't know if that would be legal.
no, I have 90% not you can't charge a fee to say that a public entity is doing something illegal. The question is, what I'm gonna recommend is the creation of a procedures, right, that are on the website to say, all right, similar to what we have. You have a complaint against the city, right? You fill this out, and then the city council will then have the ability, and depending on the nature of the complaint, to deal with it, like it could be on the agenda. All right, Bill Johnson says this about this, okay? What are the facts, let's gather some facts here before, you move forward. The open meeting law is just such an interesting legal beast because of how the statutes in Minnesota are written, how they're interpreted, and what would happen if there is in fact a finding if you don't investigate right independently. But I agree, I think that there could be another layer prior to just jumping to paying for an investigation. There could be another layer where the council, or the attorney for the council could do things before it gets done, based upon procedure, but that's something that the council's gonna have to implement. And I can make suggestions, and I can present that to the council at the next meeting if you'd like, about here's what I think we should do, and here's why. So it can actually nip this in the bud before it continues to
Yeah.
roll downhill.
Yeah, because anytime there's it could be any issue, someone could just throw out the open meeting law violation and buy themselves 3 months.
Or if somebody's making a complaint against an employee,
Yeah, just
it
because,
could be
because
that
they got mad at them.
they got mad at them
Yes,
or
that's,
something.
that's
or,
not right.
Whoever it might be. Could we put together like a couple of council members could review or maybe investigate this and work with you and me and then, kind of do a little investigation prior to the council meeting?
So yeah, so what I would propose, and I can do this to the council, as part of everything that we do, I can propose, make a proposal of procedures. I'll bring it to the council to deal with these complaints. And I'll have it in the agenda and it'll be disseminated to everyone. Before that hearing, we can have a discussion on the procedures that I proposed. And then.
We can look at them, see if we
Yeah.
can change them, whatever.
Change them, whatever.
whatever.
But I think there needs to be procedures, right?
Oh, I think
There has to be, because there's no procedures in this, and this is in light of what happened, as far as I understand, in talking with JJ, who's been the city chair for 30 years, part of this was like one of the first, like, sort of major open meeting law violations he ever dealt with, so he dealt with this in a way, via recognition, that I thought was a good idea, because there's only one, but now since we've had this one, I think we can now put procedures in place that can handle similar situated complaints moving forward without jumping to this final conclusion, having an independent investigation. And I think I could present procedures for you guys to discuss, and eventually, and we can go back and forth, and then you guys can approve, but I think we need procedures. I think that we put in place, and we'll avoid having to go this route.
And I do feel it needs to be easy enough to file the complaint.
Yep.
And I mean, we don't wanna take away that right, that's where I'm getting at, you know, there's a fine line there, and I just wanna make sure that, you know,
Yeah,
I'm,
ease that.
and I know that, I understand that, and I respect that.
Yeah, so it would be ease of availability to file the complaint, not saying.
Right.
But then it's like, well, what procedure do we have in place, the steps, so to speak, so that we don't have to just jump to a conclusion and spend all this money on an independent investigation that may be warranted in any case, but in likely many others, it's not gonna be needed, and we don't need to waste the resources. There could be determination within the council itself, or how it's worked, you know, depending on the nature of the complaint. To have this situated potentially here, or having it outsourced, right? So the police chief is different, because he's the chief. If it deals with his ministerial duties, there's a whole separate procedure within the police code of conduct that we deal with. And in light of that, and for that investigative purpose, we obviously, the Douglas County Sheriff's Office does it for free for us. They don't bill us for that.
Correct.
Okay, so that's a whole separate deal. So the police is over here, everything else that I think we need to do needs a procedure. That makes sense. And I want it to be easy, this is not complicated, it's not rocket science.
Right.
Okay, we're gonna make this 1, 2, 3, go. So, I can do that
Would you want to do this, you want me on the May agenda?
on the main agenda.
Okay.
You need a motion for that?
I don't think so.
I think it's just part of my duties, right? As you're asking me to do whatever I do. Stay on me, Val, because I'm very.
No, you know I will.
Kurt, did you have a question? Yeah, question, comment. I think the policy aspect regarding this is good, but on other, this might be different. I can't remember if League of Minnesota Cities and your insurance companies has something to cover the board members, the council members, because, you know,
Not for the open meeting law,
you have directors and officers liability insurance for certain things, but you're
but
saying
not
it
for
does
the
not
open meeting
apply.
law. The open meeting law is, if one of them is found to have, so, say somebody made a complaint, just my understanding is somebody makes a complaint that so-and-so broke the open meeting law. And for the most part, they go to civil court, they bring it to court and say, hey, I want you to deal with this. And it is that council member, it is on their back that they have to pay the fine or whatever it ends up being.
Would that council member have their own insurance to cover that?
I don't know if you can, I know, we talked about this when the league was here, and I don't know if there's any insurance that would cover that for the open meeting law. I think it's just, you know, this is what it is.
I'm not aware.
Yeah. There's probably a reason there's no insurance, because then, yeah, that would make it easier for people to do what they want to do.
In this particular example, though, and I know it's on the agenda here to finish up, I mean, I think, honestly, I think this could have been avoided with our process, those business, I mean, you know, if I think back and I reflect on, you know, how did we get here today? Well, it really stemmed from a closed meeting session that was on our packet, I think, and the perception of what is happening here and what's going on, you know, with information that we didn't have within our packet either, right? I mean, we didn't have, there was no, you know, there was no data provided on what the intent of that closed session was, or what a potential surrounding community owner wanted from the city.
But you didn't have that, when we talked about when we had closed sessions and we talked about other properties, we did not have that background ahead of time. You received, you know, the stuff that.
We had parcels that we were talking about, that's why we were going to close
But it
session.
didn't go into, it didn't go into the packet. So it was presented that usually
Yeah,
goes.
but anybody who wants to come up here and sell the city something or buy something from the city, it doesn't start with a closed session, I don't think, right? I mean,
Well,
so it starts with that person saying, hey, I would like to approach the council and discuss buying land, selling land, doing whatever, right? I mean, that's how that process should start. And when it doesn't start, maybe in the manner that people understand how it's, look, optics matter, right? I mean, so, and I think that's ultimately how we got to where we were.
Okay, we move on. So, Tony, you're gonna get back to us next meeting in May?
I made myself a note right now.
Okay. Then the next one on the reviewing of goals here. Yeah, I can look at that. I don't remember what this one is. Yeah. Okay, I think we've got this on the agenda,
Right.
before.
So the reason I put it on the agenda is we have the session with the EDA. And it's up to you guys if you want to have a conversation about it, but you want to talk about some things on this strategic plan that we've been through before, but are there specific ideas on this plan that we should focus on for the meeting on the 28th? So if we get, it would be starting on page 93. Which is really 91 of the PDF or something. Or do you, Amy and I are gonna sit down and have a little meeting because she's gonna be your facilitator. Is there something specific that you wanna talk about? You know, maybe it isn't necessarily in the project list, but is there a certain procedure that you want us to follow with that work session? Or do you wanna have Amy and I come up with, looking at both, you know, what both our goals and priorities are, and then maybe coming up with a plan to talk about how those, you know, can combine, or what's appropriate for the EDA, what's appropriate, what's not, kind of thing. So, you know, I think the whole point of it is that the EDA, you know, probably needs a little more direction. And I know Sharon's talked about this quite a bit, you know, whose lane is whose lane. LECC, for instance, LECC and the EDA sometimes, I mean, we work together, we don't necessarily cross paths, but there are some things that we do here, sometimes there's things that they do that are similar, but they're, you know, just full marketing plan? And do we change how that looks? You know, in the future, like for my job, do you want to see that economic development part of the job description to be a separate either consultant or person or a perhaps work with CETA or hire CETA? They do offer, just so you know, they do offer a 20% discount for people who have been in this program. And their fees were quite reasonable. We can certainly look at that again. Or do you just want to have this conversation that night?
Yeah, to me, I guess it'd be easier just to have our own table and so.
Just start
Yeah,
talking
just
about
start talking about it. I know you gotta kinda have a little bit of a map what you're gonna talk about, but.
I mean, I have an idea what.
Right.
would be.
My opinion, that's good enough for me, you know, I don't, whether I sit here, okay, I'm gonna do this, this and this, and, oh, we could've done that, yeah, I just let it go how it, the way it wants to go. I think that'll be your best, you know, solution to whatever, you know, you wanna achieve.
I think the one common denominator is, you know, what are we gonna do with Val's decision, or Val's position here in the future? And, you know, she's been EDA, she's been city clerk, you know, all these functions, and I'm sure they're gonna be changing somewhat. And I think that's one thing that both entities need to be involved in discussion on that.
I would agree with that.
Yeah, so that's more succession planning, right? So I
Right.
just, you talk about LACC, EDA, but LACC is its own standalone nonprofit, right? Or EDA is a arm of the city for maybe,
Committee formed
it's a
by.
committee of the city, so, I mean, I guess that's where I struggle with,
So there,
like, what,
I'm
like,
sorry.
your
So I
guys'
think
goals.
as far as like just planning for that meeting, all my suggestions, let's not go backwards from what we came to after the last meeting. So we did the SWOT analysis, we did all that, so now let's take that the next step. I think that clarity of roles is the biggest thing for me too, Derek, because LACC on its own may be its thing, but with the right combination of people and programs, it becomes a bigger part of it, you know, it's swelled and then it's reduced, and then it's swelled and then it's reduced. So in the absence of some other people, you know, what should we stay in doing and not delve into, and what should we? I just happen to have two roles, and with the EDA side of it, it is like, what does the council do, what should the EDA be charged with, and how do we take those initiatives forward, if at all, and then make best use of your time and their time. And then what shouldn't the city be doing that LACC could be doing, that's interacting with businesses or the community, so that's all.
So going back to the EDA, it's a little bit different than your other committees because it has a legal structure, it has bylaws and an enabling resolution. They have a little more power than your other committees where they can spend money within their budget and pursue grants or do things out of the norm of what other committees can do. So that's probably the main difference. The enabling resolution is pretty tight on what we can do. Like if, say we wanted to buy, we had the money, we wanted to buy property, that would have to go back to the council for approval. Any of those bigger decisions have to go through the council.
Do we have enough direction here, even though it's probably vague?
I think we got her down to 10 forks in the road instead of 12.
Yeah. Okay. Well, let it roll on the 28th and see how it goes. The next item then is the request approval of resolution 2026-04-14B, which is the request for the bog project that,
One of those hoops that we have to
one
jump
of
through,
those
that
we
was
have to
kind of
jump through is right.
kind of a different situation. Even though we submitted a resolution at the beginning that says we promise to, come up with the cash part of our, but she said either a resolution or, this, the, investment, you can see on page 99. She didn't like that it just said park facilities. I said, we're gonna use some of that money. What she wanted is to be on a separate line. So the resolution will, we'll add that with this, and that should satisfy what they're looking for.
I'll make the motion for resolution 2026-04-14B for the proposal for the funding of the Legislative Citizen Commission on Minnesota Resources.
I'll second.
Marge, seconds. All those in favor, starting with Don?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Yep.
Yes.
Next item on the agenda, and now we're gonna probably get back to that Sitch property here on land swap discussion. And again, I know Mark wants to come back at some point in time and resume conversation on that proposal that he got into on a very limited basis here a number of months ago.
So he would like to come to the May council meeting, but I thought it would be important for you to have a conversation about it before that meeting, and, whether you want to have, somebody, put together, get your own values from somebody. I don't know how you wanna look at it, but, I don't know if you wanna get something done before he presents his plan. Or if you just wanna wing it when he gets here and then go from there.
Well, I mean, do we wanna get rid of the land we bought then? That's what we were looking to do? I mean, I guess I'm confused. Are we looking to sell or?
I think we're definitely looking to do a swap if there's a swap interested, and that may involve selling that land in that swap process.
So the city has no interest in, the land we purchased for potential development, no interest in exploring what development even looked like out there.
Kind of concerned me when it was gonna cost $2.5 million to get water and sewer out there.
My personal opinion is it's really hard to make an informed decision on anything until you know facts about anything. That's, I mean, we don't know what we know what water and sewer, the quick one we did, haven't done anything about separate wells, sewer, stuff like that, haven't done anything about how many homes, for any property.
Yeah.
Let alone just the one, you know what I mean? So I don't know where to start, I guess, personally,
Maybe let's just listen to him and then go from there.
Well, I thought that's where we were gonna do like an RFP for development and like here were our options, like, I mean, that was our goal on all the land that we were looking to purchase. Then we finally did purchase one, and that seemed to, our trajectory or plan seemed to get derailed at that point with emotions and folks that are, emotionally tied to whatever, direction we were going, that quite frankly, don't live in the city limits, so.
Right, and I feel as a council member, me personally, and I think all of us, it's gonna be a very long process to get informed on everything.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It just, okay, I wanna talk this and this, okay, you don't know, you have no idea until you start looking at the projects.
The other thing to consider is, and they brought it up, Dave McRoberts brought it up with his letter, is the fact that just a few yards away from there are artifacts in Indian burial grounds.
So,
That,
understood, but so now the suggestion is, instead of respectfully, if they are there, instead of showing dignity and respect to them, the city, I think we wanna trade it and then we're gonna farm over the top of that stuff, is that?
It's legal to farm over.
I'm not
because
saying
they
it's
go-
legal or not, I'm just saying.
Yeah. No, I'm not arguing with you, but I just tell you.
And I agree with that,
You have to
Val,
think
but if
about
that, if that 80 acres, 70 acres was bought by a private enterprise and decided they're gonna put houses in there, you wouldn't have even been thought about. They've been done.
I mean-
If that's what whoever bought it was gonna do with it.
You know, Dave McRoberts had some good points, and I think he was thankful that the city bought that property at the end of the day to avoid what you just mentioned, Ryan.
I mean, there's a house built there in 2002.
But, you know, if Glendalough would like to partner with the city on options, I think we could explore that too and see what that looks like, but I'm struggling to comprehend why, you know, we all had a unified direction, and then before the ink even dried, we all of a sudden didn't. And the direction was to, you know, we've heard folks up here saying, housing, we need a place to house, the city needs to expand, the city doesn't have any land. What are we gonna do to solve that problem for the city? Well, here we are, trying to help solve that problem and create the transitional housing that, Mr. Malmstrom spoke to for folks that maybe wanna downsize and have a newer home or what have you and build a house, and our realtor that helped us purchase this property said this is absolutely where people would wanna live. You know, Glendalough, close to Glendalough, it's a rural setting. You know, yeah, we talked about water and sewer, but, like you just mentioned, I mean, we don't even have water and sewer to every commercial or home within the city limits, so I don't think that the first thing that needs to be done is water and sewer out to any development. There are other options with joint systems or what have you that we haven't even discussed. And that would be true for any piece of property we're looking to develop. I mean, the
Right,
first
yeah.
thing isn't water and sewer.
And
We're dumping $3 million into infrastructure.
Right, and I just don't know how to say, okay, we bought that, that's what we're doing. Or we're getting rid of that, this is what we're doing, how do you go about deciding what?
This wasn't even an opportunity that you even were aware of before.
Right, and the reason it is an opportunity, because we bought that, that's why it is an opportunity.
Right.
Because of emotions, because folks' emotions that after the purchase was made, right?
But it might be, because it's so much closer, it might be something to explore, and you might think it makes more
Who's to say we
sense.
can't do both over time?
You can look at both and see what you, maybe compare both of them and see what you come up with. Rich?
Kurt.
Hey, great move in trying to improve housing in the area, I agree with that. Being on the council 20-some years ago, in, say, 2000, we had the Delzer Addition project, and that might be something to look into as well. It's a lot, you gotta go way back, but at that time, the council talked to Swedbergs, they were not interested at all. Now that they are, I mean, what a perfect spot to have, and yes, you can still do both, but what a perfect spot to get more houses into a certain area. And from my recollection back from that project is that the city paid a share, taxpayer money, of the assessment for Front Street, because all that assessment was not divvied up into the Delzer land.
And Kurt, you know, we don't get along Front Street. That's not part of what they're talking about with the swap.
That's not the land?
No,
We don't get any-
no, we don't get any of that.
So where
And
did
it also was
It-
passed
Towards
that
210, because they wanna save that for themselves.
it was also indicated the last time we asked that if the land swap wasn't an option, would Swedberg still sell it? They did not.
Correct.
Yeah, they,
So it's not, we can't have both. And it-
Well,
well, if they can do something
Today,
to
yeah.
themselves.
If we go back- if we go back-
they're
if we
gonna
go
pay the
back-
assessment that they are being
Yeah.
paid, if they want.
If we go back 8 months, we couldn't get Stitch's property
Correct.
either, right?
Right,
So-
yeah.
So things turn with generational.
I think you
right,
just have to
generational
have a
opportunities.
process, like you're saying, Derek, where when you have land, you do the RFP, and yes, the land swap is out there, but if you don't do your due diligence, you can't make an informed
Yeah,
decision.
you have to, that's what I mean, it's gonna take months to make an informed decision on anything.
You know.
That's how I feel about it.
And I also know that one of the conversations we had was about the infrastructure needed within the city already. And then, you know, we have we're doing all these studies and I'm meeting upon meeting and coming up with ideas and what does the community really want, and what's the price point of that, and where does that look like? And so all of this data is being prepared to be presented in May with still yet to be determined truly what will that cost a citizen to build or put something in that spot, and will that be affordable in our world today? But I love the idea of that space, but I don't disagree that I want to explore that space, and what could that look like in a bunch of different configurations, so.
You have to look at both properties, or if there's more, call it 4 properties, I mean, I'm just saying,
But if
it's
the
not,
Sanford stuff
right,
comes
so
forward,
you have to
if
look at
Everett's comes forward, like.
all of it and get a plan, okay, this is what we would do there, this is, now decide which option's better.
Yeah.
I mean,
And I understand that there's opportunities, but we went into this and the goal was, okay, we can't do anything if we don't have control over it. And we don't
correct,
own
and
it,
that's,
or we have a
yes.
willing partner in development, right? That was, we need a willing partner and a landowner, or we need to own it and do an RFP. We're not, and I never had the intent of the city's getting into the developer business. We are going to partner with people, and facilitate the project. But that was the goal. So as we get something in hand that we actually can move forward with, I feel like it is, the responsible of us to finish that out and see what it looks like. And then if it doesn't pan out, community says nope, nobody wanna live there, not a good option. Okay, well, then we look for other alternatives, and this would be one of them, I would assume at that time, if that's a road we go down. Or, we all knew that there would be emotions tied to this purchase. That was something that I think we all understood that there could be, and that's why, I was a strong proponent that we just need to do nothing for like a year and let it simmer down, and then figure out a game plan and work with EDA.
and maybe not nothing, Derek, do some research.
Strategic planning.
Yes,
on what
yeah,
we're
I mean,
doing.
your idea of nothing is not doing nothing.
Yeah, but no,
But-
knee-jerk
yes.
reactions of selling property,
Correct.
buying other property, trading things, and just stay our course of like, no, we're going to do some thoughtful planning of what this could be, and if that turns out to not be fruitful, then we'll look at alternatives, which may be just, hey, we wanna sell this, highest bidder. And get a return for the taxpayers on what they invested in. But that's one opinion, so.
What I would encourage you to do too, if you guys choose to put it on the agenda and have Mark speak, and he re-puts on the information, reattaches the information for that meeting in January, Rich? January or February when he came?
It was a long time ago now.
I encourage you to really look at that, because when I looked at that, at least as a legal practitioner, in trying to represent the city's best interest, fiscally it didn't make a lot of sense with what he was providing. And that's what I want you to really understand, and I know I'm not a councilman, I have no vote, you gotta look at it. Because fiscally it made no sense with what he was proposing and how he presented it.
It would have been irresponsible of us to accept
Yeah.
that, and even furthermore,
100%.
I've had many people reach out, and the sentiment is that they're an individual's doing the city a favor to get out of a bad investment they made, which I don't see it that way. I think our land purchase was a great investment for the city of Battle Lake. I think it has great opportunities, great potential. I think there's other things that do as well, like what you guys mentioned in the proposal. I think that has great opportunities too. Kurt, I don't like that it doesn't have frontage on Front Street, as Ryan mentioned. I mean, there's things I don't like.
And I'm assuming, Kurt, if you probably didn't know it was no frontage on Front Street, did you? You thought there was?
Property there, but
Right,
I
but
didn't
you-
know that was part of the.
you were just-
I thought the land swap was that, 'cause that's.
Yep,
what the land
exactly.
Is that where it would be?
Exactly.
But I just think it deserves very good attention, and what can it be out there, and that's what we own. So that's what the city owns, that's where we can actually do something, which was really what our goal was, and it was to grow the city, provide housing, and reduce the tax burden, for the residents of Battle Lake. At least my goals, that's the way I see them. Other council members.
Do you want to hear from Mark next month or not?
I feel like we got the information from him, I don't
think you have the full information. I think I feel like he needs to present a written proposal, and then you can start exploring what you want to explore. You have that in hand, you don't make a decision on it, but because he didn't provide any paperwork, he, you know, he said, I'll do this or that, but I think that you should listen to his proposal and then you should get a written proposal from him and then move on from there.
Yeah.
So you know, then you're doing your due diligence, that you're listening to this person, you're hearing what he has to say, now you can do your comparison, you can see, you know, what makes more sense.
Well, I don't think we can do a comparison until we fully vet out what the property we own could be. I mean, that's when the comparison could be made.
I guess legally the council could choose, since he has presented it to a degree, you could choose as a council and make a motion to, you know, have him put back on the agenda. I mean, he can ask to put on the agenda, but remember, he's already been on the agenda. So you could say, that's fine, let's put him on the agenda, let us hear what he says, or the council, since he's already been on the agenda, they could be within their full legal rights to say, you know what, he's already kind of presented it. We're not interested in even a negotiation at this point with a private citizen that wants to sell us something. Right, so you guys can make that decision as a.
Kurt, you have a question? Yeah, a question, comment, you know, as far as Brian commented, okay, where do we go from here, how do we do this? You've got that property, you've got a possibility to learn more information about this other property, the so-called land swap. Why don't you get that information?
Because, okay, to rewind a little bit, Kurt,
Yep.
in February or January, Mark was like, well, I need to know tonight.
No.
You remember that, guys? You know, it was, so I mean, how do you make a decision?
Well, you said request for proposals from the developing people, and okay, what decision is best? If you have the farm, which you have,
Yep.
if this is an option, you've got Underhill's property, you've got every
No,
property.
we don't have any of those though.
No, but you've been talking about Underhill property by the school.
Yeah, but we didn't come to
Right,
terms
well,
with
you haven't come
anything,
to
so.
terms with this either yet.
And that's why I would suggest that we see what we own could be, and if we don't like that outcome, or
I just
there's.
heard a $207 million water sewer extension, and that I think would be much cheaper if it was in one of these other areas.
Yeah, but water,
You don't
I mean, if we're gonna do, you know, 20 homes at an acre and a half for 3 years, we wouldn't even need water and sewer out there right away. And again, a lot of the current residents and businesses don't have water and sewer, and I would, you know, personally, I really think we should be focusing on the residents that don't have water and sewer and getting them water and sewer before a new addition to town, unless it makes some sort of sense, right? I mean, we have businesses that don't have water and sewer today, and it blows my mind that
But
they've
it's
never
also
for
the state
35
park that state
years.
will shut you down for individual wells and septics.
What's
They'll
that?
fight it.
No, they can't, Kurt. You could build a house right there. I could have bought that and built the house right there, no problems.
Well,
I mean, seriously, there's houses getting built all the time right there. Along,
you've got some control there. I think.
So going back to the businesses that don't have water and sewer, just so you understand, Derek, when we did the last water sewer project, they had the opportunity to be a part of that project. And they all
Totally
chose,
understand.
we did not have anybody interested in it at the time.
Yep, and that's where I think we need like a 15-year plan and say, hey, it's coming,
Mhm.
15, 20 years, you don't get a choice. We're building our infrastructure out and come with a multi-year plan that gives them an end date. And if they need assistance prior to that, we figure it out, try and help them figure it out to avoid costs of putting in a bunch of infrastructure that they ultimately will have to abandon. So get it, but I think there's creative ideas to get those people hooked up to city services, which ultimately they're paid for in their taxes. And I think it's responsible of us to do that, but again, it's not a 1 year, 2 year project, that's long-term planning, that's what we should really be focused on, like, 20 years from now, what's this look like, and put a plan in place that gets those things done. With the support of councils, you know.
Yeah, it's always tricky whenever you
After
deal
us.
with wells and septics, cause they never fail at the same
Yeah.
time and always, I mean, it was 2018 when we
Yeah, I
did
think
that,
so, yeah.
2019 when we presented it to all
And then
of them.
some people had just put in new systems,
Yep.
there are
And
probably
since
3 or
that
4 new
time,
ones down there,
We've
yeah.
had calls from,
Wanting them,
yep,
so if we would've done a project though and gave them an end of life or a, you know, opportunity to hook up, but in 20 years you shall hook up.
yeah, and that takes a strong council to make that decision, because there will be pushback.
and my
But in
question,
real reality, it's gonna fail. I mean, I have been told by the county that every septic system that's 5 years or older doesn't meet the county's requirements for septic systems on a site.
Yeah.
So it's like, either when you sell that property, something has to be upgraded, and would you rather, I mean, the price of a mound system now is astronomical. I mean, your cost of getting sewer is cheaper, granted you have monthly fees, but it's just the council has to be very strong in making that statement that we are holding the bag of this cost while it is phased out with an end date in mind.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where it usually gets difficult, because nobody wants to hook up at the right time.
I think that's why, oh, go ahead.
Other than my question, I was wondering, not just on this property, any property where water and sewer is, not feasible for whatever reason, it might be lift stations, whatever. Can you have a community
Yeah, you can-
water and sewer for that particular spot? I mean, they do it around Otter Tail Lake, you know,
You can do that.
we haven't looked at anything about
No,
that.
and we
you
could
know.
charge, I mean, that's a great idea, we have 30 houses, there's community system, the city maintains it, owns it, whatever.
I'm not saying we need another water tower,
But
but,
we charge them out.
right, that's what I mean,
Yeah.
and I'm not saying, not just that property, any property would say, okay, it'd be great to own that, but water and sewer is just not feasible there.
Yeah, and I looked at it as just a standard city connection. There are
Right,
many
right.
other ways one could look at it. I mean, think of rural water systems. I mean, they are small diameter, high pressure systems that could be extended at a cheaper rate, because you're talking 2-inch pipe instead of 8-inch pipe or 10-inch pipe, and that's where a lot of your costs are, but
and most of the cost was getting to it rather than
yeah.
there.
Yeah, you just gotta think about building it out, and if the growth, once you get there, and you do just a simple small line, is that gonna have to be replaced
Correct.
over the use of that life with something bigger to accommodate those properties along the way?
Yep.
If I recall, I don't know what water, I mean, a bunch of water line out there.
Water wasn't the big thing, it was
Yeah, so we have
sewer.
water and then potentially some sort of joint sewer system that.
Sewer's the spendy thing, I mean, we're talking, I think we're in the range of $500,000 alone for
Yeah.
the pumping station.
Yep, and that's not unique to that property, that's unique to a lot of properties that we've
Yeah,
talked
pumping
about.
station, I think the most reasonable pumping station a new pumping station I put in the last 5 years was $225,000. So they're expensive, so.
I guess I feel very strongly that whatever we do, that city services have to be made available. Because I think we're really missing the boat if we don't have whatever we do connected to city services. And when you take those people out on North Shore Drive, you know, that aren't on city services, and it would have sure benefited the city of Bad Lake more had they been on city services.
Yeah, it hits on, the point I'm trying to make in maybe different words is that, yeah, we should, that should be our focus, is getting city services to all residents that have it, that are within the city limits, over time.
So do we have any residential, we really don't have many residential properties that don't have services, do we? It's
There's a
mostly just
few.
those commercial,
There's a few,
there's a few of them that
Yeah.
have, well,
Moen EDA.
oh,
So,
okay,
Front Street.
I would also argue though,
Front Street, yeah, that's.
a communal sewer system would be city services, we would charge city services
Yeah,
for
and
that.
that's what I was gonna say about,
It
well,
is city
I agree
services,
with city service, it's just, what does that city service look like?
I like that idea too, because you're not dealing with
No,
30 different mound systems in a sandy
No,
area, it's
absolutely.
like $1,000.
The
a
homeowner
piece.
owns
Yeah.
to the curb, and we would take over and bring it to our communal sewer system potentially, and that is city services, we would charge city services for that and maintain that communal system, you know, if that was an economical option.
And we'd have to
That's
just
what
run,
Upper Pond has.
yeah, we just have to run the,
Yeah, that's, that, all houses out there have that?
The
Or
Upper Pond,
the
the
resort or
Upper Pond
the
development
homes?
has a
the
separate
whole
system.
thing.
And going back, retrospect, you know, down at EDA, we've had this problem, we've always, you know, with the childcare, we gotta get a lift station. If we, you know, we could've looked at that avenue down there with all of it, you know? Like I said, it's not just unique to this property, there's all sorts of areas that
That
You
was
need
the
to look at this.
suggestion in 1819 when we looked at this, was dropping a pumping station west of the Moldwood Road facility, and it was gonna cover everything. That whole area would have been covered by sewer, just from one pumping station, but, and I think those numbers were much more reasonable then than they are today.
Right.
I think.
I don't know if we're ready for anybody to present in May, I guess.
At some point, I would really like to see what his proposal really is, though, because I don't think I know what his proposal is that well. So if we're gonna proceed here, at some point, I think we need more information from Mark.
Is it reasonable to just have him submit a paper proposal to the city then? For what, I mean, he's like, he said he's presented, we've heard him talk, if, you know, in lieu of, get on the agenda, could he submit a packet of what he would like to do, and we can consider that as we move forward with what we wanna do with our land, I guess? That it's in writing, that this is what,
I think we have to have him here, because if we have any questions about that packet, I think that's a good thing to have something written down, but if we have any questions about it, he would be the person to ask.
But it would make sense to have that paperwork ahead of
Of
time.
course.
Oh,
so it's packed.
I think so too, I agree.
And I think that having it, just, you know, that we didn't actually have anything.
well, he provided it to you, right, we just didn't get it in the packet.
No, not
Cause
really.
he had the whiteout on what the purchase price he was paying.
No, he did not give me any paperwork. So he was just going to present it,
What did we get then? Cause I remember, I vividly remember that.
well, okay.
Cause
let me-
JJ commented on it, he's like, well, there's a purchase agreement.
The
here.
appraisal, maybe that information, I had that. And then there was a copy of you wanted a copy of the purchase agreement? So that's what I have in the file here.
Sure.
Um, Yeah, those are the documents I have.
Marge, would you be in favor of him presenting
I
something?
would, because I think the other part is, if you look at the property up by Glendalough, and you're gonna look through that whole thing, and I'd say that took a year to do, and prices have already changed again, and it isn't exactly that apples to apples. I mean, we look at what he's got, and then we're gonna immediately start to put the comparison of whatever he's got to that, to the Glendalough one. We kind of do it, I think, in a little bit more timely fashion, and why not listen to him? There's nothing wrong with listening to him.
Oh, anyways, I mean, if he wants to get on the agenda, anybody can get on the agenda.
Well, yeah. So-
Don, oh, excuse me, I'm sorry. Don, any comments?
What do you want? What was that?
Any comments from you on this?
Yeah, I think we have to basically start from the beginning, but I had a question for Val. If we do not sell that, I don't like people calling it a swap because there's money changing hands too. If that was city property out there, can you sink a well in your own sewer inside the city limits?
Sure, yeah. We do now, places that it's not feasible to have water and sewer, they do have it, you know, like you did at your shop. And residential property, that's perfectly legal.
Okay. The other question is, Jade, how many lots did you come up with for that 80 acres out there?
I don't recall, I'd have to look, I think it was,
Wasn't it over 100, 103 or something?
I have the,
It was a lot.
70 stuck in my mind.
I thought it was in the 70s range.
Yeah,
too.
I don't.
How much was it, Ryan? How many?
70 something, 73 sticks in my mind for
Okay.
some reason.
Because there's mention it's a nice rural setting. Well, you throw 73 houses in, I don't think that's too rural.
Yeah, it's not.
Oh, absolutely, you're correct.
Yep, that, if you're talking wells, or if you're not gonna do city utilities, obviously it'll have to be acre and a half, and then, so then you just
Right.
basically figure 2 acres for a road for
Yeah.
lots, so you're figuring 35 lots.
But you see, we had just started talking about anything like this, and then then we're done.
So the
So-
70,
Wait,
A hundred, 117 lots.
117?
Mhm.
But they were probably all about a third acre.
Right.
and I don't know what other council members feel, but I mean, the goal isn't to cram as many
No.
lots and homes into any property we purchase. It's to make a very appealing neighborhood that conforms to, you know, what we think people would want, which is more grass space, room to play.
Yeah.
Other things, you know.
And I think those are all things, once you go down the RFP, because obviously the less lots you put in, the higher the cost for the
Yep.
utilities. So those are where a developer can make those decisions of where the value is. I think that's the best way to go.
Maybe we were entire neighbor parks or partner with Glendalough and extend the bike path or something, you know, and
And same being said for a different property, if we're gonna sell that and buy something else, the same thing we have to do with that property.
absolutely.
We have to look, okay, you know, we can have, you know, traditional water and sewer and traditional lot sizes or not, you know, who knows? It's just so hard to, where to start. You just gotta go to the deep end of the pool and jump in, I think. And say, crap, I should've grabbed the life jacket.
Hopefully not.
We've already been drowned once, and they pulled us out, Tony brought us out, so.
I don't know, I mean, we talk about trades and swaps, and I agree with you, Don, I don't like the word trade or swap. But there was a, Tim Underhill's property, we were very interested in, maybe he wants to swap everything for everything. I don't know how many acres he had over there, but, you know, we're gonna explore
38.
Yeah.
38, so,
Well, that's another idea.
I mean, maybe we swap that, and we talked about Sanford, I think, were you ever gonna meet with Sanford or the Good Sam about the land they own, and now that whole area could be, and then.
So we're
then
still in the
Everett.
process with Sanford, they're doing some background work before they get back to any of us. So they just wanted, before they brought anything forward, they wanted to do some background stuff on it. But they're very interested in developing it, but not being the developer.
Yeah, and I'm not interested in the city being a developer either, but,
I don't
No,
think
but
we're interested in that.
if we know it's available and, you know.
but, I mean, that would be another thing, well, maybe that's a better option,
Yeah.
maybe we need to study that, because that was where we originally thought that'd be good for houses, and now there's a little big hill there, we'll work through those things. I think the sky's the limit, if we just figure out what we have and kinda go from there.
Well, do we wanna start hearing from Mark on a written proposal to begin with?
I say yes, it's a start. Let's do something that starts.
So do we wanna solicit residential developers to start looking at our land we own then?
I think it's too early for that.
Yeah, it might, you know, what might make sense, we have this $8,000 that we got from the visioning prep. So maybe that could help pay for a study to help look at all these different areas and see what the best, I don't even know what that would cost, but we could, CDA has grant funds for planning, so we could apply for, you know, up to $5,000 with them, but it might make sense to have some sort of study done to really, you know, figure out what might be the best options.
And I know before we got put on hold for months or whatever, you know, I know we talked about talking to the EDA, and I don't know if it's something you guys wanna look at or not, no idea. We were just getting to the point where the council was gonna talk to them about it, and then, you know, just everything stopped, so kinda having to go through back in your mind and think, okay, where were we in the process?
Yeah, I think that the next step shouldn't, I don't know if a study is the right step, I think a developer is the right next
But I
conversation.
think you need to have an understanding of what you have before you bring a developer in.
Well, we
So-
know what we're hearing
Yeah.
about what the appetite is for the size of the properties. And we know what the cost of building is today, so if we buy and we split that into 10 5-acre lots, you're gonna have $1 million minimum house price point out there. If you split it into smaller lots, then you're, even a brand new 3-bedroom, 2-bath, slab on grade with a 2-car garage is no less than $350,000 without the lot. So who has the appetite to purchase that in our community? And when they do that, where are we bringing them from? And so you buy that and it's great and you develop it and it'll be like Canterbury took years. It took years to get all of those things done. It's gonna take time, so it's not gonna be recovered. But the study isn't necessarily about the visual is what we need. We need to see the potential of the land.
But when I say study, I do somehow have a professional help do a comparison of all the properties and probably that, you know, would be looking at the information that we've already received and what people are interested in and then looking at, do a comparison of all of them.
I just feel like we've beat everything to death on this stuff. Like, we've had so many committees and conversations and surveys and a year's worth of conversations about it. So if they could provide something more succinct, great. If we're just going down another analysis path, I'm more of like, bring in somebody that's done this before, that can say, this is what's working in towns of your similar size, or this is what what is being gobbled up. If the realtor, of course, is gonna say, everybody wants to live here. That's what realtors say, but I think, unless you can get a vision for what that looks like, I don't wanna spend more time on studies, I'm afraid. But maybe the word study is the wrong word, but.
Maybe study isn't the word, but some sort of doing a comparison, but sometimes you need that to attract those developers. Because, you wanna get all that information together and.
And I think if that's what would need to get a developer, then we go down that path, but I think if we solicited an RFP and said, hey, the city owns 70 acres looking for development, I think we'd have people chomping at the bit in the Battle Lake area to submit a development proposal and to show us what it would.
There'd be all sorts of people kicking tires looking for some program. I don't know if Val needs her one to be that busy.
Well, and I think if that is the case and that's the route you wanna go, then I think we need to do a lot more research on that property before we even talk to, soliciting sort of RFP. We wanna know what we have there.
Yeah, so it gets back to we don't know what we don't know.
Right,
And we need time to figure that out.
Yeah,
We need a thoughtful process.
Who is the right person then? I don't know you, Jay, but I mean, how would you proceed?
Well, I just think, there's tons of different ways you can go down this road. Hate to say the word, but there are companies that do housing studies and your actual analysis, and what developers do is they look to those housing studies and determine the demand for what type of housing, because if you say you're 70 acres, you may get proposals from.
Well, we gotta set the guardrails.
I can put how many apartment buildings in there if that's the need, or I could buy that whole thing and build a beautiful, have my own. So the guardrails need to be set if you're gonna just restrict it, and then that may also restrict some of your developers, but. Yeah.
In the past, anything that we've done similar to this, those documents are really important to those developers.
They're huge because they help out with
Yeah.
financing and they help out with banks.
They're
That was the type of study you were referring to. I'm great with
Yeah,
that. I was getting the impression we still were assessing.
Oh, no.
Do we need housing or what type of housing we need? Okay,
Yeah,
okay.
no,
That's
how,
my assumption too.
no.
So these ones are specific for Battle Lake would need X number of these types of units
Right.
based on the growth
Yep.
over the next 10 years, based on, they look at the school, they look at any businesses, they look at everything that goes down, and they just state, based on the current demand, they look at age demographics, and then they look at who's moving in, who's moving out, and they come up with recommendations. And sometimes it's a little scary with what they come back with, that I've seen some of them where your demand is going to be $125,000 to $175,000 homes for the number of people coming in. So how do you get current houses in your community that are at that market with people to move off to something different?
Right.
And maybe we need to do that if we're going, not going back to selling or swapping land, but we also need to do that with whatever, if we are gonna move to a different spot, we gotta do the same to that thing.
Right.
Otherwise, we're not giving that the full potential either. So
Yeah.
it's so hard to do it so fast.
Yeah, and that's where these studies, they don't look at any one parcel, they don't look at any.
So we could be doing it for both at the
They
same
look at
time.
the community as a whole.
Okay.
And they look at businesses, schools, tourism,
And you can have them, if you want something specific in there, like when we did the housing study 6 years ago, we wanted a survey done, and we wanted to make sure that we had people outside of the city limits who are interested in moving here, had a say in what they were interested in. That study was very important for the project that we did down at Hidden Meadows, to get those, the grant from Minnesota Housing.
and some of that information could be used, I don't know.
Yeah, we can
that
have-
study.
But I think things have changed a lot in 5 or 6 years.
And I think even whoever did that study,
Right.
if you asked for.
Because they.
Well, West Central Initiative did it for us, and we didn't get charged for it, and he's no longer there, so.
Okay. Yeah,
It's
those
not-
are the types of things that they can look at. They
And maybe
can-
you can just update that one,
They,
you know.
they can update it, and again, a lot of it, demographics,
Mhm.
who's moving in, who's moving out, age,
And what we've built since then.
what's been built,
Mhm.
So-
average price of sales.
So how do we access?
Well, my question to dumb it down to my level, right now, do we do that, or look at that study, stupid word, cause I mean, that can be used for any property.
Mhm.
Have that get started going, look at trying to figure out what we would do at the Glendalough parcel. And do we look at what we would do there at Swedberg's property or not, or?
I think you use that study as a whole,
Yeah, well, I know, I'm talking about lots, water and sewer, that type of cost.
Yeah.
The study does everything, I don't care if it's that or anywhere.
Yeah.
But we should also, in the same amount of, in the same time frame, to save time, look at, this is what this would look like, here's a rough cost, we're gonna do this type of water and sewer, we're not gonna do this type, for a couple properties, who trying to make informed decisions about both.
Yep.
The other thing is, I don't know, you know, I don't feel we need to be in a big hurry, I don't think we can be in a big hurry to do anything.
You wanna take your time on this and get it right.
Yeah, it's a pretty big decision to make, I don't know, that's my thought, is trying just to make the best informed decision is gonna take time, and we need information.
And I think that, like, the other thing I didn't mention, a lot of times you can have these studies where they'll analyze the incomes, so then they analyze what people can afford, so then that goes back to,
I actually think that would be very important data, because I think what we may find is the majority of folks that are in the area, and does this go outside city limits then too? This
see,
study?
you can
Okay.
specify the distance.
Yeah.
You
Because
can-
I think there's a lot of remote working, a lot of, very good income households that aren't like working maybe for companies and stuff that are maybe even in the county.
Yeah.
Right, so I think that would probably be very important data to.
Yeah, I would reach out to Amy at the county.
I was just gonna say that was the first thing on my
And then
mind.
just, she
She's our
might
housing
be
guru in the
able to
county.
help us and start this, so we
Mhm.
can reduce what a private company would charge, but Amy might be able to guide us to,
Absolutely, and she'll be here on the 28th.
yeah, and so
So
that
I
would
can
be,
talk to her ahead of time that this is something we're really interested in. But we, you know, we don't necessarily want a generic, you know, there are specifics that we want to know. So we wanna make sure that
because
that's
they have
part.
a lot of that data already.
Yep,
So that they can kind
yeah,
of
they can
share.
put that in, you know, I can talk to her about the one we did before, and if we can just update that somehow, or if we had to start over, what the best option would be.
Because and I mean, each one of these property areas has their own unique circumstances, but that study may show, well, you need to build housing like what just occurred south of the Meadows, because that's gonna be the highest demand.
Yeah.
Well, that may not be the best at Glendalough or Swedberg. That
Right.
may be more beneficial
Somewhere
or at
else.
the Sanford property.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, and those are the types of things that
Right.
developers are gonna wanna know.
And that's why I don't think we need to be in a big hurry, and I'm not speaking for anybody else, but I think everyone would agree. I don't think Swedbergs are doing anything with their property in the next year. We're not gonna do anything with our property in the next year. Mark has our property rented for the year. So I don't know
For
what.
3 years.
Yeah, so I don't know what big hurry is to do anything, other than to make a right decision, which is gonna take time.
But we can't make that decision unless we
Right.
get something moving
Yeah,
here.
yep, that's what I'm saying, so
I
that's,
really wanna see us getting I won't use the word study, but getting some
No, I
direction.
think study, knowing what
from
study means in
someone.
this context.
Yeah, that's what I,
makes sense.
yeah.
Yeah.
that's
Definition
exactly
two
what
of
I'm
study,
talking about.
Yeah,
That's how it
and
is
then
study.
Amy can give us the very restrictive, what we're looking, we can explain it just like we did here.
In the process.
Yeah, and
Income,
she-
demand, demographics.
So they've worked with, so CDA's work, or she has worked with a number of cities in Otter Tail County that have recently done housing studies, so she might have, you know, a consultant that, hey, they did a better job than they did, and, so I will connect with her and,
Okay,
get some ideas.
do we need a motion on this? I'll be glad to make a motion that we contact Amy or whoever we need to contact to at least start the ball rolling in some type of study, analysis, or whatever. But I would really like to just get the ball rolling, and that's what my motion is all about.
Second.
Somebody seconded there.
Derek seconded. Don, yes or no?
Yes.
Yes.
Yep,
Yes.
carries 5-0.
The only other question I would pose is, and I'll bring it up again here, but is there no appetite to annex land that the city purchased, regardless at the end of the day who ends up owning it or what we end up doing with it? Why wouldn't we annex land that we purchased and bring it into the city limits of Battle Lake? I mean, it can sit that way for 50 years for all that matters. It's within the city limits of Battle Lake. We would have authority over it, your signs could go away, managing that stuff, and it is just like any other parcel within the city limits of Battle Lake, and that's the way it is. I don't know. I've been struggling with, I don't know why we wouldn't wanna do that regardless of what the outcome would be. Why wouldn't we wanna make that part of the city limits of Battle Lake? And I can't find a good reason why we wouldn't.
I would rather see what the outcome is gonna be and then determine what we're gonna annex in or aren't gonna annex in.
Why?
I just think it makes more sense that we have an outcome that when we get to that point. My opinion.
Yeah, no, we're all free to have ours, obviously, as we govern this board, but.
Yeah, we got 5 different ones.
Yep.
No, I got 2, so there's 6.
Well, the question with the annexation is there, as a legal practitioner, is that if you annex it in as part of your city limits,
Yep.
okay? But then what happens if your city council or if you don't do anything, this is the question, you don't end up doing anything with it, you get voted out as the next election, and Ryan gets voted out, there's 2 other individual council members. Nothing ever happens, and then you end up wanting to sell the property to a developer or to a person.
Mhm.
At that point, now you're stuck within the city limits, you don't get the tax advantages or the flexibility to do things within a township versus a city, right?
Yep.
And it's much more undesirable potentially for so Rich's point, oftentimes cities wait to annex, either something is already in place, like, for instance, when I represented the city of Clitheroe, we annexed in Jeff's Crossroads to get the liquor license within our city, jumped across this, did a whole rigmarole, because that was already, and then he wanted to do it to expand his business, which also created a better tax base for the city of Clitheroe.
Yep.
But oftentimes you annex once you have the business defined.
Yeah, so like in that case, it was a private owner that ran a
Correct.
business that had better benefits of being within the
City
city
limits.
of Clitheroe, right? So he had business purpose.
My question for the city would be, is that, and this is what you have to think about as council, if you annex it without knowing what you want to do with it, what happens if you don't do anything with it, you want to market it and sell it, it becomes less marketable if it's within a city limit.
Possibly.
And I'm just saying, I'd like.
Yeah, I mean, so that's the debate, and I would disagree with it respectfully, that I think it's more beneficial to be in the city limits of Battle Lake than it is to be in the township, and that's my perspective.
No,
So-
and Derek, I agree with you all,
Yeah.
99.9%. Where I wanna see, my opinion, where we land on it at the end of the day is, let's say we do something different and we just sell it to some guy from Minneapolis got money to burn and then he donates it to the state park. Well, it's part of the city limits. So, so we got, like where Tony was
I
going
think
with that.
that'd be great, the only city in the state that has
But-
city within the state.
And I know that is really reaching, I know that,
Yeah.
but I'm just saying, let's just get something figured out here for the next, whatever long it takes, and then we'll go with that.
Yeah, my recommendation is legal counsel, if you guys do what you want, but the annexation would follow with the development. Does that make sense? Like,
Yeah.
kind of go hand in hand.
Makes sense to me.
They should go hand in hand,
Yep.
but obviously you guys choose to do what you want to do.
Okay, I wanna move on from this issue. We're gonna start opportunity.
Okay,
It's opportunity, Rick. You wanna move on from this opportunity?
before you go on, I do not know for sure if,
Opportunity.
oh, did I lose my, oh. I do not know for sure if you want Mark to come and do a presentation. I would prefer that you would make somebody make a motion that you want him to present a written proposal, if that's what you're gonna
If you
do.
would like to get on the agenda, and I feel like
We can't,
that gives us the appearance that we're requesting him here to give a proposal to us on something that we want him to do. If he wants to get on the agenda and make a proposal, I would,
well, you know
maybe
he
that's
has a
what we need to-
proposal, but don't you want that down in writing what his proposal is?
so do we
So
just
it's
wanna
in the
make a-
record?
I need to see it more detailed than what we have so far. And because I don't think I have enough information to make a decision one way or the other until we have more information from Mark or what his intent is.
So I guess after this last half-hour discussion, my question would be is, whatever Mark wants to talk about, is it gonna be, here's what I wanna talk about, now you guys can go do your stuff for the next 7 months and talk to me then? Or I need to know real soon, cause then everything we've just decided don't much matter, you know what I'm saying? So that's what it gets down to, is
If
our,
he puts a deadline on it, then you just say, we're not ready to
Right,
move there.
and, yeah.
So, yeah.
That's my opinion, I mean, we just talked about what we wanna do, and not just for that property, for others.
I don't wanna give the appearance that we're, and take the person out of it, that we're soliciting anybody to come here to give us a proposal to do any sort of swap on our land, whether it's, land over by Sanford or the school, land over at Swedberg's, land we don't even know of. I mean, from my perspective, our land is not for sale. If somebody wants to approach us about it and make us an offer, I think once we have the data to make a good decision, maybe we would entertain that, I guess. But
Well, I don't think there's any question, Mark would probably wanna make us an offer. And do we wanna hear what he has to say, or do we not? At this point in time.
I don't know that it really needs a motion, I mean, if he wants to come, and we can ask him, like, come with something written down,
Okay.
so we can.
I would suggest that if he does want to get on the agenda, that we have information in our preliminary packet, just so we can, like,
Yeah.
meets the deadlines, we can look it over.
Okay, that's what
Okay.
we'll do.
Then go to new business, and there's a whole packet in there on council code of conduct, bylaws. I think part of this came from the fact that we really didn't have any bylaws, and when we had those two gals from the League of Minnesota Cities here, that was one of the things that came up in a discussion about that. I don't want to take time to go through this tonight, but it's something we can think about for a future meeting and coming back to the code of conduct and bylaws for the city.
Do we just want to table this then?
Yes, I
You
would.
wanna table it until May or June?
I'd go back to June.
Okay, okay.
What were you saying?
I would agree with that.
Thank you. I'm glad to hear the attorney agreed with the low lying mayor here.
I move to table that until June meeting.
Sounds good. Thank you.
So he made a
Oh,
motion.
okay, I'll second the motion. Did you hear my conversation here, Don? Where there's a motion by Derek, second by me to table the, item one under new business, table it until June?
Yes.
Yes. Derek?
Yes.
Yes, all the way around, okay. Then on the past due utilities to the county, is this, that, we do this every quarter?
Well, no, this
Or
is something.
I get mixed up. on
So
these, I'm
we
sorry.
just did this, and, when I sent it in, the one that I sent in, I got this email back, and it's in your package. And so when Wayne was there, he said, yeah, send it in anytime, I'm okay with that. Well, they have basically changed, and because of the new software, they're changing some of their processes, so they don't want to handle, they only want to handle special assessments like this annually. So ideally, they'd like us to certify the amount once a year. So I'm gonna let.
Oh, good, because that's the way I thought it was before, and then I realized I was wrong, because we're doing it quarterly, weren't we?
So Tony did a little research on it, I'm gonna let him talk about what he came up with, what his thoughts were on that.
Yeah, I mean, Alan asked me to research this. So typically, I mean, you could do it, I guess there's a couple ways you could do it as a city council. You could do it, of which they're switching to on a yearly basis for your unpaid utilities, and then, from what I understand, Val zeroes it out when you provide it to taxes, because you're gonna get paid through your tax assessments, right?
That's correct.
However, by only submitting it to a year, that bill will be very large compared to if it is on a quarterly basis, because it gets zeroed, and so then the interest stops accruing. And then if you do it again in a quarter, then the interest stops accruing. You see what I'm saying? So that's fine to do it this way, but I still think that we continue to send it quarterly, but do not zero. Whatever you guys choose to do, it's your choice, but I would continue to set to, and you do a couple things. You can either send it quarterly, but do not zero out the balances, and allow that interest to continue to accrue. Alternatively, you can just send it at the end of the year, and then it'll end up accruing, and then it'll end up accruing in the same function, right? But the goal is, if you do it on a quarterly basis, is to get people to pay, right?
Right.
It's an incentive. Sometimes they do, sometimes
Just
they
getting
don't.
that notice is
But
important.
notice is important.
And
So I
I
still
know it's
think,
a smaller number too.
so notice is a smaller number. So my recommendation is still submit it quarterly for the payment. Keep the tab open and let it keep rolling. And then obviously, then, you know, we'll certify it again at the end of the year the way the county wants us to, right? But at least either I recommend that you get the notices sent out quarterly, and then the certification would be sent out at the end of the year.
Yeah, just keep a
But
spreadsheet.
keep a spreadsheet, so hopefully allows people to pay. Because if you zero out the balances, what ends up happening, right, is that then we don't know who pays. And then we need to keep it going, because if that property is sold, or someone does a refinance because rates go down, or whatever it may be, or it's in foreclosure, they have to pay those utilities off anyway if it's to assess the taxes, right? So I think it's very important that we incentivize it within our small community to send it out on a quarterly basis notice, keep the tab running, do not zero it out, and then certify it the way the county wants us to, that they'll accept. That's what I'm saying.
I would make that a motion
If Val,
if Alan.
Val, you can handle that?
Yeah, I mean, so Carolee and I talked a little bit about it. Yeah, I mean, so the late fees they get a 10% late fee on the balance. So this continues to be a huge amount of money by the end of the year, but people know that, and I guess we would just change up our notice, or that you will still see this on your bill until the end of the year.
Yes.
And you're still going to be paying late fees on this. So, and our notice would have to look a little bit different than what it does now, but I'm okay if I like the idea of still sending it quarterly, because I never like the idea of that huge amount at the end of the year. So.
Send it quarterly. If you want me to approve the language, send it to me, I can do
Sure,
that.
okay.
I do it for you, no problem. But the incentive to get people to pay, if people don't pay, it's their problem.
And I see this as a business function of the city, not, I don't know that anyone's expecting, awareness, I think, for us, but this is a business decision.
Oh, yeah.
That for you guys and your department, you just work out with Tony and follow the best way you guys see fit, as long as we're following what the rules are. So I would say,
Just do it.
just do it, whatever you guys need to do, just do it.
I don't even need a
I don't
motion.
think we need a
I would agree with you.
That's, yeah, I'm okay with, I mean.
I wwould draw my
I
motion.
think this is like.
I wanted
Otherwise
to.
I would say.
Okay, so I want I wanted you to be aware of what was going on,
Yeah, I think
because the
so.
process would be a little bit different.
In case a constituent comes up and asks.
Yeah.
Might work.
And something like this, I would see more of, in a department report that, hey, this process is changing and we have to conform to it with the county or don't or whatever. But it's a business function.
Okay, then we'll go on here to the next one. And we got the gander from the goose here tonight. Resolution 2026-0414A, approval of CDA application for the Galloping Goose.
So this is no money out of our pocket, this is, they just wanna know that you're, you know, the city's okay with this. I didn't put the revised, I didn't tell you this, Kurt, but the grant amount is not $5,000, it's $6,390. Because of the, you know, when we changed up the total a little bit, then that increased the dollar amount. So it's just a matter of passing the resolution, and once he starts working on the project and can submit some invoices, then he gets that reimbursement from the
And
county.
just for new council members' benefit, a few years ago, the property was changed through a zoning request from residential to commercial, because it sits between the fire hall and the funeral home. And then I also did, Val, might have to go back in my brain and paperwork about a variance
Yep,
for handicap accessibility access on the
on the,
east side.
Yep,
So those two things have been in place, and then we've just been waiting for the right time to start this project.
I'll offer the resolution.
Second.
Ryan makes a motion, Jarek seconds the Galloping Goose resolution there of 2026-0414A. Don, are you yes?
Yes.
Yes.
Yep.
Yes.
Okay, then going on to the Otter Tail Emergency Management Fund deal. Val, do you want to just?
sure, so this is an application that we submitted to the county, and it had to be something that was in our mitigation plan. Basically, what we had was an emergency shelter and then lift station generators. We had one generator left that didn't have, or one lift station that did not have a backup generator, and that's down by, call it Stubbs. Stubbs isn't there, so we will call it the lumberyard.
That's not the right location,
Oh, that's not the right location?
no,
Oh, where is it?
East Summit.
East Summit? Okay. I don't think the location matters.
Okay.
Yeah. And I can talk to him about that, but it's just, so the total cost was right at $25,500, and that grant amount is $10,674. So if you're okay with that, we just need approval for the grant agreement, and of course to pay that, to go through with the project.
I'd make that motion.
I'll second that motion. To approve the grant then, Don, yes or no?
Yes.
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 Yep.
Yes.
And I did have, and I couldn't recall, the shelter was the one kind of by the school, is that the one?
Yeah.
So I had some questions about that recently, and I'm like, I don't recall, did we get denied that, or I don't recall what, is that
The
over?
state, no, actually, it opened up again.
Oh,
So we had a meeting last week, and so, working with Patrick, we're gonna give her a try again.
all right, oh,
And so what happens is it goes, he sends it to the state, then the state gets all these applications and decides from those applications which ones they send on to the federal government, and then the federal government makes a decision
sure,
who gets the money.
yep.
So we're gonna give it another shot.
Ongoing then, round two.
Round two.
All right, perfect.
Okay, next item, Art Advisory Committee. They would like to have the approval from the council to proceed with a $50,000 grant, and it would be in conjunction with the development of the wetland property.
Did we do this
south of.
This is a different one.
Oh,
Yeah, this is a different one.
This is an additional one, because it's not gonna, the one that she applied for would not cover everything, so.
oh, okay.
This is, she added some more specifics to this that were different than the T-Mobile one, so we're just to plant the wetland habitat, native trees and shrubs.
So, yeah, I'll make a motion to let Reba try and get her grant.
Okay,
One second.
Second is over here with Marge. Don, you want to proceed with that grant, yes or no?
Yes.
Yes, yes,
Yes.
yes, 5 of them. Okay, then the next one is the request from the food shelf for a donation.
yep, I got the letters in this last page. I don't know how.
They weren't asking for a specific amount, were they just a?
No,
a
just asking for a donation. Being that, it was the name of that organization that closed up, Ruby's Pantry.
Ruby's Pantry, yeah.
I would guess that there's probably gonna be a little more use at food
Yeah,
shelves.
I'm thinking there's gonna be 2.
Um,
I would suggest maybe we give them $1,000.
I was amazed the last time I worked the 4 to 6 shift. And I know there's some stuff that can be restocked, how empty the shelves were. It's astounding.
What have we historically?
We have not given to them before, but they've been financially stable.
We've given
A couple, two,
a time or two,
Did we?
Yeah,
couple
2
years ago we did.
2 years
Not
ago
last
we
year,
did.
but the year before. I
and
think.
then
Yeah.
last year we gave to the senior center
Yeah.
instead of
Yep.
the food shelf.
Okay,
So that's why I would be offering, making a donation to the food
Yep.
shelf. And that, for $1,000 if, well,
did you make that a motion?
I'll make that a motion, $1,000 for the food shelf.
Second.
All those in favor of the food shelf donation of $1,000, Don?
Yes.
Yes.
Yep.
Yes.
Carries 5-0.
And then I only have one item that I would, just a quick question, and I don't wanna take long to add to me or something. The painting of the water tower, I know that came up a few times ago.
Yep.
And this said art advisory committee, and I'm just, is that gonna come back to us, or, cause I really think we should.
Should have asked Jade, I don't know, he was
Okay.
gonna try to throw it into the well project, I don't know if he has or not.
But I really think we should reconsider and maybe talk about that
Yeah.
more, kind of the rebranding of what that could look like, and maybe get the art advisory committee involved in that. I think that may be a good project for them to.
I think it'd be great to have someone involved with that, I think it would be
I
great
think
to
it
have
would
a
be a
design
good
on
idea
it
too.
versus what we got.
So do you want me to talk to Jade about it, or do you want
We'll
to
talk to Jade about it
Okay.
again.
Okay. April 28th is a meeting, joint meeting, EDA and council, 5 o'clock.
And then if we have stuff that we need to do, we'll have a council meeting following that at 7, but I don't have anything specific right now.
Otherwise, the next council meeting is May 12th.
That will be over to that.
At the
Yeah, the EDA.
20th,
Yeah,
yeah.
the 20th.
I wrote-
Adjourn. Well, do you have our time sheets? If you don't worry about it. Next time.
See you, Tony.
Usually